World War II. There's a thing called the Nazi Bell, which everybody keeps thinking is a flying saucer and all this other stuff. I don't think it was quite that. It tells you blah, 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 blah. They were dealing with focus on genetics, biological research, and research into what radiation could do to German enemies. The project was also known as Kronos or Saturn. How about that? Let's just move that up here because I've been saying this forever and nobody wants to listen. Which refers to spin polarization, plasma physics. It means basically one of these rings is spinning this way, the other ring is spinning the other way. It says the plasma torus, which is a Torah. You know how the Jews have the Torah, the torus, and the Torah, and the toro, the bull, right, inside the bell. So in other words, they created a vortex in here. The bell, which is Saturn, right, bell Saturn, exploited spin polarization of the atoms to create plasma. It would be entirely fitting to apply Kronos to Garlock's scientific role. The final but most well-known code name was Der Glock, which means the bell in German. The meaning behind the code name or its association is entirely unclear. No, it's not, because it's right here. It's the bell. It's Bell Saturn. What they've done is they took a bigger thing, Saturn, and made it into a smaller thing, a miniature atomic reactor. The word Holocaust, if we look, the word Holocaust means to this is interesting stuff. Holocaust, literally an offering that's completely burned up. That's what a Holocaust is. I mean, that's the definition of a Holocaust. A whole burnt offering. See, this is why they can't find any bodies. Along with the story in those war camps, they find ashes, but they don't find. The oven story don't work because the way that they showed how it was done was completely ludicrous. This, however, makes sense. Let's see. The word Holocaust is used 3 times in the New Testament. Katoma is used 3 times for the whole burnt offering, a sacrifice in its entirety. If we look over here, this is interesting. The Catholic Encyclopedia, which nobody ever sees. Notice that it refers to Leviticus 1 as the victims. It doesn't say lamb. It says victims. A victim is somebody that's not willing, that's been taken against their will, being assisted on occasion by the Levites. The Levites were the priests that did all the sacred stuff. The inspection of the entrails, blah 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 blah. Notably of the Phoenicians, who the Jews speak ancient Phoenician. There is no Hebrew language. Plutarch wrote about it. Interesting that they use a double X here and a 903 code. The Iliad, which were the gods, that's where civil comes from the Ilias. Notice they use the 33, the lower gods being demonic entities. And then over here it talks about 1 Samuel 33. So what's the odds that that's going to be in there? Of course it's going to be in there. Talks about the Jews, and it says both these executions were made before Yahweh. And we know who Yahweh is. Right? Who's Yahweh? Well, let's take a look. Here it is here. This is WJYS Christian TV. Notice it says the way, and then they whip it around behind here, and we can see that it's Yahweh right there. We all know who Yahweh is, don't we? That dude right there. Okay, so in those Holocaust camps, the reason they called it a Holocaust is because the victims were totally burnt up, and not in ovens. They used that fucking Nazi bell. Oh, what's interesting about it? What's interesting about it is it says, let me find out what it says again real quick. If we look, it says, it appears, the horrible deaths. Oh yeah, here. Commented that horrible deaths after exposure to the bell. He said their flesh would liquefy. Remember Raiders of the Lost Ark? Remember what happened to them dudes? Let's find out. So here we see Raiders of the Lost Ark, and when they opened the box, they all melted. Interesting that the Nazi bell says the same thing. So it's pretty freaking clear to me what this whole Saturn bell thing was. How they took and made a miniature Saturn. How they used these people to extrapolate energy and make plasma. And I'm pretty sure that's what they did at Sandy Hook, considering that everything at Sandy Hook was pulverized. Let's just take a look at that real quick. What happened to Sandy Hook? When the old Sandy Hook elementary school was demolished, buildings materials would be pulverized on site, and metal would be taken away and melted down in an effort to eliminate nearly every single trace where the gunmen killed 26 people. The fuck out of here. You don't do that for murders. They didn't do that for the Manson murders. They didn't ever do that. It's because it's radioactive. For fuck's sake. Are you fucking kidding me? There's one last little bit. And I know that the reason that the guy made it the way that he did is because he was telling you in his own way that that's exactly what they were doing with this Nazi bell thing. They were extrapolating energy out of people. Now, I believe this is what the bell is. You see the red and the blue. This is all atomic. What they're doing here, what I believe they did, is in this word Holocaust, is they extrapolated energy out of human beings. And if you listen very closely, I mean, this is a very bizarre, creepy thing. Listen. Look at the shape. The same thing that's on Saturn. Here's the circle. Here's the blue light. That red and blue, aside from being pillars, is atomic energy. It's oh, what is it? I can't remember. It has to do with gravity and density. Now listen. I mean, why would they put this in there if it wasn't true? Because this has no correlation with anything I did on the other video. See, there would be no reason for them to put that in there, put that noise in there, if they weren't inferring that some human being or something wasn't having its energy sucked out of him. That's why I believe that's what they were doing. And that's what the Nazi bell was. God knows what they've done now.